Hey Realtors, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can set up an AI agent to handle all of your text messages for you and do things like answer incoming texts, send outbound texts, and how you can integrate a knowledge base into the AI so that it can answer questions accurately and provide detailed information to the lead. So if you're a busy real estate agent and you have a ton of texts always coming in, maybe you run Facebook ads or you have a lead form on your website that's constantly capturing new leads and you want to be able to send them texts and have a conversation back and forth with them and do things like lead qualifying and nurturing without you actually having to type out the text all the time, then you're going to want to stick around because this video is for you. Now, real quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Brandon. I'm a real estate agent and also the owner of Agent Automation, where we help real estate agents just like you integrate AI into their business to automate their day-to-day tasks and overall just streamline their entire business. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I'm going to show you just kind of a very simplified overview of how this whole AI agent works. So basically the AI agent is listening for a text message that gets sent to your number. Now for this particular automation and for pretty much all of my automations that involve a text message, I use Twilio to purchase the number and to do the whole webhook function. I find it's just the easiest. It's the most simple way to do it. I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. But basically when a text message comes in to your Twilio number, it's going to get automatically sent to a webhook in make.com. So we have it set up in Twilio that when a text message comes in, it automatically goes to a webhook. That webhook then goes into the make.com automation, and from there it determines whether or not it's a new user or previous user. Now it does this because of a Google Sheets spreadsheet that we have set up that has a thread ID for every person that's ever texted us on this number, or at least since we've created this automation. So if a person texts us again, maybe a few days later or whatever it is, and that thread ID already exists, then it knows that it's an old user and not a brand new person. So it's going to go down one of these. Basically, the only difference between the two is if it is a previous user, then it's going to look at what the conversation history was so that it has some context as to what you were talking about in the past. And then from there, the text message gets sent to an OpenAI assistant that we created, which is trained on our business and, a few facts about our local marketplace and things like that so that it can answer questions accurately. Once the OpenAI assistant reads the text message, it then forms a response and it sends that back to the make.com automation where it passes it through the webhook response back to Twilio, who then sends it as our response as a text message. So again, the text comes in, it gets sent to make.com. That then determines if it's an old user or a new user, which then the text message goes into an OpenAI assistant to analyze the text and create an appropriate response for it, which then gets sent back to make.com, which then goes through the webhook response back to Twilio and gets sent as the text message reply. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in make.com. So this is what the actual automation looks like. I did originally get this from somebody on YouTube, and I'm super sorry. I can't remember what the video was because it was a while back that I got this video. I think it was actually on a Medium article that I found it originally, and then I've tweaked it a little bit since. You also have to tweak it if you're looking to do outbound text messages where you're the first one sending the text. This is specifically for inbound if somebody's texting you first. So a good example of how this could be used is maybe you have a lead intake form on your website, or you're running Facebook ads that lead to, a form where people are filling out their property address to get a valuation, or they're filling out a time that they want to meet with you for a buyer consultation. Whatever it is, you can have it triggered by just a text message itself, or you can even trigger it off of something like a new form response. So when a new form response happens, it would then go and send them a text first based off of all the information that they sent you. But for this one in particular, we're going to be doing it off of somebody sending us a text message first. So like I said in the diagram, it starts with the webhook. As soon as a new message comes in, it gets sent to the webhook. That then goes into Google Sheets to add their thread ID to our sheet. And that looks like this. So we have a main database and a temporary database, and I'll show you why in a second. That gets sent into there. Then this module here delays it slightly. Now we do this for two reasons. First is because if you send a text message to somebody and they respond in like 2 milliseconds, then you immediately know that it's a bot or it's an AI, right? And it just seems very unnatural and just honestly will probably lower your conversion. So we put a delay in here so that it seems more human, more natural when it takes 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or however long you want to put in here to respond. But the other reason is sometimes when people text you, they're going to send multiple texts back to back. So they might say, hey, Brandon, send. How are you? Send. I'm looking to buy a house. Send. So this delay allows us to basically collect all of those texts that get sent in that time frame and just treat it as though it was one text, so that way the AI is not sending a reply to each individual text. They're just replying to the entire sentiment that the person gave us. From there, we're searching the Google Sheets to see if their phone number already exists. And then from there, we're actually going and splitting off into two different paths. So the first path that's going to happen is up here. And this is basically the entire path that allows you to take their multiple texts that they might have sent in that short time span and include it as one so that the AI can treat it as one single text. So rather than it being put into your spreadsheet as 3 separate messages, this Google Sheets module is just going to combine them all into one single cell. And that's going to make a little bit more sense in just a second here when I show you an example. After it goes through there, it's going to send a webhook response to Twilio just to let it know that basically we got it handled from here. We're going to take it over. Then it's going to go down to this one. It's going to search for the phone number and see if the person exists. Either way, whatever way that it splits off, if it's a new conversation or a previous conversation, it's going to get sent to our OpenAI assistant that we built. I'm going to pop into OpenAI to show you what that looks like. If you don't know what an OpenAI assistant is, it's sort of like a custom version of ChatGPT that you can talk to via an API, essentially, if that makes sense. So you can use it very easily inside of like make.com or Zapier or different automation platforms, but it just makes it easy for your external third-party tools to communicate with your own custom version of ChatGPT, basically. So I just called it the SMS agent test. For the instructions, I said, you're a helpful assistant to a real estate agent named Brandon. You're responding to customer SMS inquiries. The customer thinks that they are speaking directly with Brandon. When responding to queries, maintain a personable and friendly tone while ensuring your messages are concise and informative. You should respond as if you are Brandon himself. So we're just giving the AI instructions so that it knows how it should respond to that initial text. From there, I just gave it some examples and then some extra notes as well for how to treat different scenarios and things like that. I am using 4.0. You can try the other ones. You can do 4 mini if you're doing very kind of short responses that don't require a lot of backend information or anything like that. I wouldn't really recommend going to the 3.5 level unless you're doing super high volume because it's cheaper, but 4.0 is just a lot smarter, so I would just leave it at that. I turned on file search because if you are uploading different files into your knowledge base, then you're going to want it to be able to analyze those files and look through different things. Like if you have maybe a spreadsheet with sales trends, or you have PDFs that have a bunch of numbers and analytics on it, then you want to be able to look through that. I have not added any functions to this demo one, although I have added them to other ones before. Basically, functions allow you to give your OpenAI assistant the ability to do external things. So for example, if you said in the instructions, if you're sensing that the person wants to book a time to go view a property, then you're going to use the access calendar function, let's just say. Now that access calendar function we would build into here would be able to access your calendar so that it can see when are available dates and also add in new events and delete events as it needs. So this gives your assistant the ability to sort of maybe send emails for you or update your calendar, access your CRM, things like that. So you can get super, super technical if you start adding in these functions. They basically run off of JSON schema, if you know what that is. If not, it's just a bunch of technical code that tells the computer what to do and what APIs to access and things like that. Underneath that, you have temperature. This just basically tells the AI how unique of a response it can give, if it should always give a similar kind of response, or if it can switch it up every now and then. Now, this is just a demo, but if I was building this out full scale, I would add in files here to the AI's knowledge base. You can also create a vector store on the left-hand side here, which allows you to add in a bunch of different files and treat it like a vector storage, which basically just gives you more control and more fine-tuned ability to be able to find specific data if you have a large knowledge base. If you're just uploading one file, then you don't really need to use the vector storage. But if you're uploading a ton of different files that are 20 pages long each and a bunch of stuff like that, then you probably should. So that's just a quick overview of what the OpenAI assistant looks like. We're going to hop back into make.com now, and I'm going to continue from here. So it goes to the OpenAI assistant, it shows them what the text message is, and basically says, hey, create me a response. The OpenAI assistant then writes the response, and then it sends it back to Twilio and sends it as a text message. Now I am in Canada, so I can do a really easy automation where I just pick my phone number from Twilio, write the text message I want to send, and it'll do it that way. If you are in the US or if you're somewhere else sending text into the US, you have to apply for what's called A2P. I believe it stands for application to person. Basically, it just means if your phone number is not a person, it's an application, and it's sending to a person, then you have to register different credentials so that it's all registered. So from there, the message gets sent, and then a webhook response sends through just saying that it was successful, essentially. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm just going to pop this open, and we're going to send a message to one of my phone numbers, 7428292, I believe it is. Sometimes I don't remember the phone number. So let's just pretend that I'm a potential buyer, and maybe I just downloaded a lead magnet, or I saw a Facebook ad or whatever, and I want to send this real estate agent a text message. So I say, I'm going to say, hey Brandon, I saw your Facebook post and I'm intrigued. Can you help me purchase my first home next month? So I'm going to send that off. And then let's go back here and we'll show you as it runs. So you can see it's running here, and you can see the steps that it's going through. Now it's dropped down here. It's going to go through. And then there's the text message. So it says, hey, I'd be thrilled to help you purchase your first home. Do you have any specific areas or features in mind? We can start making a list of potential properties that suit your needs. So that's great. It responded to my text. But now we have to make sure that if I respond back to it, it can keep the conversation going, right? We don't want it to think that it's just a new text message that it's responding to every time. So if it says, do you have any specific areas or features in mind? I really like the south side and downtown areas. I am looking for a 3-bedroom house with a nice backyard. I'm saying I really like the south side and downtown areas. I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house with a nice backyard. We're going to send that. You can see it's running again instantly. Wait for the response. And remember, you can change the amount of delay that you want in the response. So you can do it quicker than this if you want. You can even do it to take longer if you want. Great choice. The south side and downtown have some great options. I'll start looking for a 3-bedroom home with nice backyards in those areas. Let me gather some options and we can plan some viewings soon. Now I'll say, I'm going to try multiple text message one after the other to see if it's going to send me 3 responses or just 1. So we're going to say, okay, sounds good. Thank you. What are prices like right now? And you can see on the side here in Make, there's 3 different operations running. That's because each individual text gets sent through the webhook, so it's 3 different runs. Although because of that delay and because of that Google Sheets batch API that we has, it's going to just combine everything all together. Great, so it just sent 1 reply. So we know this is working because it would always send a reply to each individual text if we didn't have that function in there. So even if I said something just simple like, okay, sounds good, then it would automatically send a reply. So because it only sent 1 text to R3, we know that that batching function is working. So it says in the south side and downtown areas, prices of 3-bedroom homes can vary depending on the specific neighborhood and condition of the house. On average, you might see prices ranging from $350 to $500. I'll look for properties that align with your budget and preferences. Perfect, so this is working great. Now, obviously, with a bit of prompting, you can change how it replies. If you want to be more casual, maybe you want to add in some emojis, things like that. You can also add in instructions or files in the knowledge base that's going to tell the AI how to respond to certain situations. So for example, if it's something like this, where the person is giving you a search criteria, we would probably tell the AI that it needs to collect like their email and their name or something, right? Because it still doesn't even know my name here. That's just because this is a demo and I haven't done the full instructions. But you would want to add in all these different details. If you were to go to your assistant, you put it in the instructions here. So like in the bottom in the notes, I said, here's a description of each. For home buyers, these are people who are looking to buy a property at some point. They might be asking to view a specific property, or they might be asking you to help them find a home or put together a list of homes. Your knowledge base contains additional instructions on what to do if you determine the customer to be a potential buyer. So then in the knowledge base, I could upload a Google Doc that would say, if you determine the person to be a potential buyer, here's the criteria of things that you need to ask, here's the information you need to collect. Then we would add in a function that could add those specific criterias to our CRM. So there's a million ways that you can really get technical and customize this, right? If the person came off of a lead intake form on your website, maybe it automatically already got added to your CRM. Maybe that's an automation you already have set up. So now this function is going to be changed so that the AI is going to gather the person's name and email, but then it's going to search your CRM for that person's lead entry and then update the lead with specific notes of their search criteria, for example. And then if we go into Google Sheet, you can see that there's just 1 thread going right here, just 1 single thread ID, because this is the main database. The temporary database has nothing because of this batching module that we have. So if we didn't have this here, every single message would get put 1 by 1 by 1 in here, and the AI would think they would have to reply to everything. So that's why we have that in there, so that the AI basically waits for as many texts to come through as it can in whatever time frame we set here. So let's say in 10 seconds, however many texts the person sends, it's going to combine those and treat them as 1 single text. Then once it does that, it's going to send it to OpenAI and basically just wipe it off of the spreadsheet so that it's not there anymore. Now, once you have something like this set up, it just runs on autopilot for you, right? So it's super easy to just go buy a number off Twilio, start putting that on maybe your newest Facebook ad or on your website or on the flyers that you're handing out door to door, whatever it is. And when people text that number, then it's just going to handle it all for you. And you can set it up inside of the OpenAI assistant to add it to your CRM, update your calendar, send emails for you. Maybe you set up something that if the AI determines that it's a seller, it's going to offer your seller's guide or your seller's checklist that you have. And if the person says yes, then it'll send that checklist for you. So many different things that you can do with this. And the possibilities are really just endless. But yet again, it's just another thing that you can take off of your plate as a real estate agent by using AI agents and AI automations. So hopefully this video was able to give you a pretty good picture on how you can use AI, and in particular AI agents, to automate parts of your business, like sending and receiving text messages on a day-to-day basis without you ever having to pick up the phone. Sometimes as real estate agents, we are basically living off of our phone and we're constantly juggling 5, 10, 15 different text message threads. It can get confusing, it can get annoying, and honestly, it can take up a lot of your time. So having an AI agent like this who's constantly working for you, answering your texts, sending texts 24/7, 365 days of the year can make a huge difference on not only your business, but just your peace of mind. If an AI texting agent like this is something that you want to implement into your business, but you're not trying to build it out yourself or learn how to use all these different tools, then click the link in my description below where you can book a call with me and we can talk about AI automations like this and many others and discuss all the different possibilities of what can be automated in your business. There's also links in the description to every tool that I used in this automation, as well as a few extra bonus links in there if you want to download my free AI roadmap for realtors and some others. But anyways, guys, thanks again. I appreciate you watching this video. If you're not subscribed already, click the subscribe button. And if you are, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Like I said, if you have any questions, all my info is down below in the description. And other than that, we will see you in the next video.